energy surrounds us and binds us.
What's up, Marvel fans, and welcome back to another review here at Carbonite Convos. We just finished episode 3 of Moon Knight, so if you're familiar with our new layout, we do the reaction, and then we immediately film the review. So, Alec, any immediate thoughts on episode 3?
No, so out of the chute, I'll kind of just jump at the end of the episode. We are going to see Mark and Steven without their powers, and obviously we're kind of concerned about how they're going to go about finding this tomb they're on the search for without being able to summon the suit to get them out of the situation.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. As long as they don't get in any altercations, they should be fine without it. But it seems like that's their go-to. Even though Mark seems like he can handle himself, that's always something good to fall back on. So that will be interesting. I guess next steps are, just following that night sky. X clicks north, X clicks east, and then they're at Amit's grave. So I'd love to see how that works out, because I assume that Harrow and his followers will be there waiting for them by the time they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole night sky thing was crazy. Like, I want to know. They show the perspective of civilians seeing that. Like, what could they have possibly been thinking? But I guess at this point in the MCU, like, they've seen aliens and everything come to Earth, so I guess that's not out of the unusual for them at this point.
Yeah, no, I thought that part was super interesting. Just the fact that he's literally turning back the sky 2,000 years. I know Steven said this is actually pretty painful. So I'm curious as to what that pain feels like. But there were some funny moments. I'm going to edit the reaction after this, and I always get a kick out of that, because just watching our reaction, to the funny moments gets me the most. So there were a couple good ones.
No, Steven had some nice one-liners, like the take the body, Mark. Like that, I like that a lot.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. He's getting set. Take the body. Take it back. Take it back. I like Steven.
I do too. I really like seeing them start to work together this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I get Mark's perspective. Like, if he gives up the body, he might not get it back. But he knew in the situation that he needed Steven to be able to figure that out.
It's kind of like the Hulk.
It is kind of like the Hulk. Like, eventually, I could see them making peace with one another and being able to, switch back and forth to whatever the situation needs. And if there is this third personality involved that we have not seen yet, I imagine that would go into the equation as well.
Well, I saw a theory that there is a third personality that we haven't seen yet, because there is a third one in the comics. And in this show, in episode 1, we see Steven going on a date with the girl who works at the museum, and he doesn't remember asking her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of that, Mark is faithful to Layla, although they're getting a divorce. Like, Mark is married, so he wouldn't have been the one to ask her on a date either. So you think, is it that third personality taking over that asked her on that date? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up for either of the other two to ask her, if that makes sense.
Right. I want to know if this third personality as well would be able to use the Moon Knight power too.
I assume so,
but I don't know of another persona that the suit would entail.
Maybe, and we haven't read the comics, but maybe he comes out when Kanju isn't there, which right now would be a perfect time, because they can't conjure up a suit. We get this third personality as kind of that extra help. And that would explain why we don't get a third suit, because there aren't going to be any suits for the time being. So there isn't that third suit to conjure up. So maybe he just steps in place of Kanju when, he's turned to stone. Because I don't know if that happens in the comics or where. I don't know what the deal is with that. So
maybe it develops because Kanju goes away and he needs that inner dialogue, so he creates this new persona to be able to talk back and forth with.
Yeah, this episode was a little slower, but
Mhm.
overall, I think it was still super interesting. I and I don't know if you got the same vibe, but we can tell that there's some weird stuff going on between Layla and Mark. They have their own issues to work through, but it's interesting seeing the way that Layla looks at Steven, because we already
Yes.
know that Steven, he's like, oh, I'm married to you, all this stuff. So he's already enthralled by Layla. You can tell that he feels a certain type of way towards her. But when Steven was figuring out the star pattern at the end, right before the night sky changed, you could see this like look in Layla's eyes. She doesn't have a patch or anything, but you could see the look in Layla's eyes that she was almost developing feelings for Steven, because she was impressed by what he was doing. I think she sees them as two different people now too.
Yes, I agree.
It's going to be interesting to see if that plays out at all.
It's almost like Steven is like the sweetness, the nice guy that Mark isn't, but Mark's kind of the, bad boy type of personality too. So she kind of gets the best of both worlds with that. And so I don't know if she's like fascinated over Steven right now because it's a new sort of personality.
That, and he's just very smart. I think one
Yes.
of the things that she's drawn to is Steven picked up Steven's interests come directly from Layla. Like subconsciously, that's where he got his interests in French and in just Egyptian culture as a whole. So I think she kind of realizes that Steven's taken it to the next level and is super smart with all things involving both, because he's only been Steven for a few months, yet he knows a lot of French. He knows
Mm-hmm.
damn near everything there is to know about Egyptian culture, it seems like. So I think she's just fascinated by him in general.
Dang, that's crazy. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. Like, obviously, he's like trying to call his mom and all this. Like, how long has he had Steven? Like, we haven't really seen that or been given an answer to that yet.
Well, she said, I've been calling you for like 3 months, I said, or
Mm-hmm.
she said, I've been calling you for months. So I assume that it's around that 3-4 month mark.
His flat looked like it had been lived in for 20 years.
Yes, but if you're a little if you got some stuff going on, I'm sure that might play a role in it.
True.
I wonder if the mom's gonna come up again anytime soon. I think she has to.
Has to. Like, they made a big deal about that. That's the first, like, one of the first moments we see
Yeah.
Steven is talking to or leaving a message on the phone. So I imagine that coming back full circle.
Yeah, definitely. We saw a little bit of the suit, a little bit of, but very, very brief Mr. Knight.
Mhm.
But we saw a little more action with, the Moon Knight suit. I'd like to see more. We're in episode 3 now. I'd like to see a little more action, a little more development. Well, not development between him and Harrow, but I'd like to see like another big fight scene.
Yeah, I think that's
Really
definitely that's definitely coming. Like,
Yeah.
they're on their way to discover this tomb and this mummy, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's going to get unleashed of some sort.
That, and the main conflict of the entire series is coming soon, so that'll be
Yes.
super interesting. It's I feel like neither of us are really big like Twitter scrollers or anything like that, but we're not oblivious to things that are said online. So I feel like people aren't going to be the biggest fans of this episode because it was slower.
Mhm.
I think overall the series as a whole has been pegged as slow and boring, at least from what I've seen. I've seen a lot of great things said online too, but you always have just those people that, oh, it's boring and yeah, it's lame. There's no story here. So I'm sure we're going to see more of that, but we see that regardless of what the episode is pretty much. But overall it was a slower episode, but I still enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of character development on several different fronts, and now we see Kanju just stoned.
Stoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's, as far as we know, he's gone right now. So
You pointed it out in the reaction too that there were many of them that are turned to stone
yeah, he
now.
said he's the. I'm not sure which god he was the avatar for, but he said now he is chained here like many before him. So
Yeah.
you made a good point at the same time that was going on, talking about kind of comparing them to the Eternals. And I got that vibe as well. Like that, I don't want to say like they're all Eternals, but let's like kind of compare like that to like Thor and those gods and then the Eternals, and who knows who we're gonna
Thor's
get going
different.
forward. Is he though?
They step in on a regular basis. Like
Well, not about stepping in or not. It's like how they're, I don't want to say created or how they're alive. Like it's the same concept of having all these gods and all these different things throughout the history of man. Like
yeah.
obviously in the MCU, like, all gods exist, and to me, the Eternals and all that kind of fall into that realm.
No, yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So like to me, they're all kind of on the same level.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how they made it a point to say that they observe, they don't interfere. So I'm gonna, the same as with the Eternals, where they don't interfere unless deviants are involved. So I'm curious to see if the gods get involved if if and when Amit is released, because there's always that outlier where you think you won't do anything until something happens and you know that you need to, because we see them call Harrow in on trial for for trying to release Amit. So clearly that is a very punishable offense, and they don't want that to happen. But apparently there's no proof that he's trying to do that. So I'm going to be very interested to see, once they do release her, or it's proven that he's trying to release her, if they step in, because I do see them stepping in.
I could see that happening 100%. Like, what's the line that has to be crossed in order for them to step in? I want to know if that does happen. Will we see all the avatars in suits, or will we see the actual gods, or maybe both?
I don't know. Those would be some pretty sick pops to have.
100%.
That'd be really cool. Was there anything else that stuck out for this episode?
No, man.
I didn't see a QR code.
I did not see a QR code.
Maybe I missed it, but there's a QR code in each episode that leads to a exclusive Moon Knight comic. So I'm sure I just missed it, but I would assume that one was there at some point, because I missed the one in the first episode too.
We'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, buddy. So do you have anything else?
No, man. I think I'm good. I think we covered the major points of the episode and the major takeaways. End of the day, I liked it, and I'm looking forward to episode 4.
Yes, sir. As am I. But everybody, thank you very much for tuning in to another review here at Carbonite Convos. If you haven't checked out the reaction already, make sure to do so if you like this video. And we have some more videos coming out later this week. We have some more videos coming out later this week. We do have our Funko Pop concept list from Attack of the Clones that should be coming out very soon. You can expect to see that on Friday, as well as a new podcast episode on Thursday, where we talk about the new Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game. Alec and I have been playing through that.
Spoiler alert, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. But yeah, again, thank you very much for joining us. And until the next time that you are on Carbonite Convos, may the Force be with you.
Remember, the Force will be with you.